Now, I wanted to go with you to South America, as I have been there beginning of the year. I have spent 6 weeks in Peru and Bolivia with my partner Annika, with my girlfriend, and we traveled all around Peru and Bolivia. And here I first want to talk about the Andean basements, the so-called Inca walls, because in Peru they call everything Inca. They don't care about pre-Inca times or pre-Inca culture. Everything is Inca. But we were together with an archaeologist, William Cujero, and he is responsible in Cusco for the connection between the archaeology and the city builders. Because if they dig a hole in the ground in Cusco, they always find old stuff like old basements from pre-Inca and Inca times. So he told me that there are 7 different kind of walls, and the most of them are pre-Inca walls, like we see here. In Cusco, in the old town, all the houses are built on such polygonal walls. Like we saw here in Egypt, every block is unique. There are individual, they can only fit on the place they are, and you don't get into the in between with a razor blade. No way. So it's pretty high technology, and how they did, we don't know. What we know is that it is not comparable to our walls today or to other walls like the Incas did. You know, you can see it exactly on the left side. This is the original pre-Inca wall, the polygonal wall, and on the right side you can see how we would reconstruct it today. So we cannot rebuild that today. And also, this is William, our guide there, our archaeologist, and my girlfriend, and he showed us a lot of different stone walls where he did show us how the different styles look like. You can see there are walls with smaller stones, with rectangular stones, but without any concrete between or mud or something. They are just fitting together like this. And so we can find, this is a wall of today. You can see clearly the difference, how simple it was built in compared to the old ones. And here you find even 3 different styles. No, here you can see 3 different styles of such a wall, which was reconstructed. This one is not. It's not like the polygonal, the very oldest ones, but even very high technique. But later on, when the Incas came, they built such other walls above with the mud in between. So here we also have a devolution, or an upside down evolution of technology. Like we have in Egypt, the oldest one is the perfect one, and later on, after the cataclysm, it was built, but with not the knowledge they had before. And so if you ever go to Cusco, don't miss to walk around in the old town. It is a wonderful place, and these walls are just marvelous. And then also on the Altiplano in Peru and Bolivia, everywhere you find these gigantic blocks, which fit together perfectly, many tons heavy. And here it stops, because the official archaeology cannot tell you how they did it and who did it, but it was there and in ancient times before the history officially started. This is the most special place around Cusco. It's called Sacsayhuaman, with gigantic wall and gigantic blocks. And why should you do such a wall? My only answer is because they could do it, so they did it. And this goes on in the whole country, in Peru and also in Bolivia. You find these gigantic works from an unknown past.
Well, and those are chamfered, so on the edges, they're chamfered into a tight joint that you can't even get in between them.
Mm-hmm.
Chamfered in. It looks like it's big gaps, but it's not.
No, they are round at the
edge.
edge. Yes, here you cannot put a razor blade. That's true. Yeah, so it looks like this from above. So a very high, a very long wall. And the interesting thing, it has nothing to do with protection, because Cusco is down there in the valley. So if you would build a castle, you would put the wall on the other side. But why did they put this wall on the upside of the hill? So these are questions who nobody can answer until today. And also, as we have in Egypt, these stone carvings, crazy, like they could cut out blocks from the stone, like with stairs and stuff, so nobody can really realize what it should be. Like we have in Egypt. So let's go to Ollantaytambo, because I guess you know all these pictures from other researchers. And Ollantaytambo is in the Sacred Valley, down from Cusco on the way to Machu Picchu. There's the place Ollantaytambo. And also here you can find these different walls, like the giant blocks on the bottom, and then later on the smaller blocks on top, and the non-professionals as well. But here the biggest blocks are up to 50 tons. And we wanted to know where is the quarry of these blocks. And we knew where it was, so we wanted to see it. So we did a one-day expedition on the horseback, all up the mountain here, all this way up, because the quarry is up there. So we were riding 3 hours on a horse up in very narrow ways, up to the quarry where the blocks from Ollantaytambo come from. Ollantaytambo is down here. This here is the temple, or where we have been before, and so we came up here all the way with the horses to the quarry of Ollantaytambo. And here you find prepared blocks. They are finished and ready for transport. And thousands of these blocks lie around in this field. And why should you do thousands of blocks? Why do you finish thousands of blocks and then you will not use them? So that's why I say this was before the worldwide cataclysm, as we have proofs here in Egypt. I flew with a drone to get an overview, and you can see all different kind of size and blocks and rectangular shaped blocks. So yeah, and also the question is, how do you move 50 tons down the mountain? And then there's a very fast and wild river, the Rio Bamba, so you have to not only move them down, then over the river, and on the other side up again. So 50 tons. So we cannot imagine how they did it, and sure there are coming ideas of anti-gravitation technology. Okay, let's go to Bolivia and Tiwanaku and Puma Punku. In Bolivia, there's a very famous place called Tiwanaku. Tiwanaku is a huge area where you find this structure. But when Arthur Poznański in 1902, I guess, first time came here, it looked like this. So there were no walls between these gigantic stones. And it was clear, or very soon it was clear, that this is astronomically orientated. So this is an observatory for the stars. Always the connection from the humans to the gods in the stars. And what they did now in Tiwanaku is they built walls between these stones. That's why we have now it looking like this. But this is a wrong reconstruction. And also we think that there on these perfect blocks you find grooves and holes and stuff. So we think they just built the wall between, that the grooves are not visible anymore and nobody asks any question anymore. And another thing is that in Tiwanaku, there the whole field, there is very much still in the ground, and it lies completely chaotically. It is a big mess. If you dig there or excavating something, the stones are just laying around and no system. So we also think here that Tiwanaku and Puma Punku was destroyed by a cataclysm. Especially when you look at these half pipes here, they are claimed to be water draining tubes, so to say, half tubes. But when you find them in the original place, they are always upside down. So for water, this makes no sense. In our eyes, it could have been to do something with technology, like a cable canal to protect the cables or the electricity to protect it, and then you find such things, and also curves or rectangular structures. Yeah, but nobody knows. Bolivia is a very poor country, so they don't have a lot of money for archaeology to really do proper excavations there. But if they would do, then we would find thousands and thousands of these blocks which were destroyed by a great catastrophe. And also we know that here is this is Tiwanaku, the complex of Tiwanaku, and close by, only about 1 kilometer away, is Puma Punku. And the difference between Tiwanaku and Puma Punku is the one that the stones from Tiwanaku was sandstone, and we also visited the quarry of Tiwanaku where the sandstone comes from. But the stones of Puma Punku are completely different. This is andesite, it's hard like granite, and it comes from a volcano which is over the lake of Titicaca and very high up on the volcano. So they moved all the blocks down to the lake, then moved it to Puma Punku and built there the temple or structure of Puma Punku. And as we know today, Puma Punku, this one here, this was a harbor. The harbor, so the coastline of the Lake Titicaca came directly until Puma Punku. And what we also can find in Puma Punku and Tiwanaku are these butterstones. The locals call it piedras cansadas, tired stones, but probably not the stones were tired, but the workers. So they lay around in the whole area, and nobody know for what purpose. You see, it looks like they were soft, and like with a butter knife, they took out the stone from these blocks. And according to this, my friend Lutz, he's over there, and he is originally from Germany but lives here in Egypt since many years. So he said, hey, you can find such structures as well in Aswan. That's where you go next, and there you can find similar butterstone which nobody knows how it was made. So this was Tiwanaku, and this is Aswan. You find again the same forms, and it looks like it was once soft. So I think Mohammed will point on it when you are there, huh? Yeah, so we have again a connection, a worldwide connection between ancient civilizations who were probably wiped out by a global catastrophe, and after that, after the destruction, the people had to get back to the to build, and they lost a lot of technology and knowledge how to build. That's why the oldest one is always the perfect one, and later on it became very simple. So we go back to Bolivia, to the quarry of Tiwanaku. This is up in the hills, like Tiwanaku is here. Now the lake of Titicaca is about 20 to 30 kilometers away from Tiwanaku, but at the time when Puma Punku and Tiwanaku was built, the lake came until here. So for the quarry of Tiwanaku, the quarry of Puma Punku, the andesite stones, is over here. So they moved these perfect blocks down here, moved it until Puma Punku to build Puma Punku. But the stones from Tiwanaku, the quarry is up here in the hills. So we took a guide and went to this valley. We could drive until here with the car, and then we had to walk about 4 hours up in the valley. And as it is very high, you have to breathe a lot, and it's very exhausting, but we finally did it. Here on the way up to this quarry, you everywhere find such blocks. So Tiwanaku is about 10 kilometers this way. So everywhere on the way you find these blocks, prepared, perfectly shaped, or not perfectly, but pre-prepared, and like they lay on the side of the ways, just as they were just left there. And yeah, in my eyes something happened that they didn't continue to transport them. When I was thinking about the quarry, I had a picture in mind, like a quarry we have, like a big hole in the mountain. But the mountains to the ancient South Americans, or even today, are very holy. So they would never dig a huge hole in the mountains, but they used the regular structures the mountain give, the stone. And you can see here these stone layers come out of the bottom like waves, and they are already more or less rectangular, so you could only cut them out and then shape it, and they were ready for transportation. So we found a lot of stone plates, huge plates, blocks, and when I was flying with my drone up there, the dimensions became visible, because you have thousands and thousands of these pre-prepared blocks ready for transport. And the same what happened in Ollantaytambo, when of a sudden they stopped working on it. We have the same system again here. Something happened. It looks like the workers went to lunch and never came back. Thousands and thousands of pre-prepared blocks. And even here, you don't have a very steep mountain, but even here you have to transport them down the valley about 5 to 10 kilometers, and then 10 kilometers on the altiplano. And in the rainy season it is very humid. The floor, you sink into the floor because it's so wet. So we don't know exactly when and how, and how they did transport these blocks in the altiplano, because you cannot only do it during dry times. Yeah, and this is the mystery of South America. And as I learned here on this trip with Mohammed, it's the same system, that something happened in our past, a cataclysm that destroyed the high technology, and later on they just built small by small.
Do you know when the site was abandoned?
Hmm?
Do you know when the site was abandoned?
No, not exactly. No, because the Tiwanaku culture, they say there were 4 different cultures in Tiwanaku. So every culture built on another one. So in Tiwanaku, I know that people have found tunnels and underground structures which are going deep down to 30 meters or something. So it's all built on top of the other.
But you don't know when the quarry was abandoned?
No, no. Because you cannot date stone. That's the problem. So, and another interesting block I found per coincidence. I was walking around very astonished about the size and the place. And then I saw about 50 meters away, I saw something strange. I went closer and found this. And we can see here that this piece was cut out with a round saw. Here you can see it was cut out with a round saw like today we use to flex something. And I can hardly imagine that one of the poor Indios up there has something, such a tool, and go there and just make this for fun. So I guess it is a relict of the old quarry when they were producing these stones. And also what we have found in close to Tiwanaku and Puma Punku, we found a second Puma Punku which is not excavated yet. So Tiwanaku is down there at the stars, and then on Santa Rosa there is the place, it's called Lukurmata. We drove there and we had to ask many people, do you know where Lukurmata is? And nobody knew. But then a very old man says, you're looking for the place with the big blocks. And we said, yes, the big blocks, we want to see the big blocks. So he sent us on a hill, and there we find again these andesite stones, which are similar to the Puma Punku stones, not to the Tiwanaku stones. And they are lying there around. It's all closed with a fence, but good luck, there was a hole in the fence already, otherwise I should have done it. So we could go in there and checking this place out. And you know, as I told you before, this is granite, or a kind of granite. It's called andesite, and it's very hard. It has the hardness of 8, and diamond has 10. So what did they have? What kind of tools did they have to really make such structures and to carve and to shape these blocks? And as well, or what was my indication that I compare it with Puma Punku, are these T-shaped little structures. Here, maybe you can see it. Here it's a T-shaped engraving. So, and this T-shaped form you only find in Puma Punku, but not in Tiwanaku. Yeah, so we must go there again. Hopefully until then we have more good connections up in Bolivia, and maybe we can do a radar scanning of the whole area, that we can see what is the structure in the hill.